Hey, what's up, guys? Awesome back here in another video. Again, got partner Ethan Hayes here.
Yep.
And we actually done part one about tournament fishing, breaking it down, mental aspect, and all that. So now we're going to get into the fun stuff, talking about rods. You hear me talk about my arsenal a lot. It's always upgrading, downgrading, and just all over the place.
Yeah, miss one.
Me and Ethan actually made a trade, so he's got something new. I got something new. We're going to get into techniques, so stay tuned. There you go.
This was mine.
Yeah.
Okay. I talked about this in the first video I was in with him. All this is one of my all-purpose rods. I have about two all-purpose rods. This is a 7-foot medium with a 7:3 to 1 gear ratio reel. I think it is one of your best all-purpose rods for lighter baits, some of your reaction style baits, such as what I've got tied on right now, which is swim bait, some of your light crankbaits. And also, I like throwing Texas rigs and soft plastics on it, stuff like that. Just because you get some more tip with the medium, and I feel like that's helpful to throw some of those lighter baits and those reaction style baits especially, so whenever they eat it, you have enough tip to play them around a little bit.
Alright, so why did you feel like you needed that rod in the boat today?
Okay, so this rod in the boat, I actually didn't even pick it up, but I felt like I needed it because I had a swim bait on it, and we had seen where it's fall time, bass start pushing some shad up in some shallow areas. We thought we might see some of that. If we saw some of that, I was going to pick that up and throw it around. Simple as that.
Good job. Alright, y'all have heard me talk about this combo a lot. It's my Shimano Chronarch MGL in that 8:1 ratio. I have it paired with that 7.2 Corrado and a medium heavy. This is a newer Corrado rod. And today I actually switched it up. Usually I have another swim bait on it. I do like to run dual swim baits, but I actually had a shaky head on it. And the reason why I needed a shaky head and felt like I needed a shaky head on this rod is because it's so light, so comfortable in the hand. It palms really well. I can actually fish with this rod all day, not get fatigued, and that is a big thing in tournament fishing. I feel like if you're out there like, gosh, I'm tired, gosh, I'm hungry, that's where your mind is going to be. If you have something light and sensitive, it's just going to help you that much more. And also, reason why I felt like I needed a shaky head on is number one, that's always something you should have on. That and a Ned rig.
Yeah.
But main reason is because not last weekend, but the previous weekend, I had 3 smallmouth on this, 3.5 to 4 pound a piece, and it just didn't happen today. But that's why I felt like I needed it. And another tip, as you could tell by his blue rod sock and my rod sock, that's a big help to you getting in and out of that rod locker. It is a whole lot less stressful, and it takes a lot less time to get what you're wanting.
Big deal in tournament.
Yeah. Time, convenience, and stress.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Oh, yeah. Keep you from snapping 8 rods because you're so pissed.
Yeah. This here I didn't even pick up, but this here's that SLX XT and that Denali rocker rod in a 7-foot medium. And this was my cranking rod for like rock crawlers and stuff. But the reason why I felt like I needed this rock crawler on is because you're going to have some fish hitting red stuff all the time. Even in the dead heart of summer, they still hit a crawl. And that's why you see people throwing like a red jig or something like that, is because it's something that never wears off. They change colors, yeah, but 9 times out of 10, if they are green and they see a red, which one are they going to react more to? They're going to react to the red because it's different. So it's getting winter time almost, and it's time to be throwing a red rock crawler, so that's why I had it on. I actually didn't even pick it up, and we actually didn't have a bank that I felt like I needed to throw it, so that's why it wasn't through today. Alright. This one there's yours. Dixie.
This is mine?
Yeah.
Okay, so this Dixie, normally my flipping setup, 7 3-to-1 tool on it. This is the meat stick. Normally, like I said, I have flipping on it. Today it was a little bit different. Today I had a big spinnerbait on it, and that was, he brung this up last night. He said we could get in some of those thick bushes, and possibly, if they got those shad pushed up in them, a spinnerbait in those thick bushes would be nice, and that Dixie would be good to horse them out with that thick line. And that was the only reason I had this in the boat today. We kept it almost on the bottom of the rod locker. We set up all these rods in what order we thought was most important and least important. And the least important went on the bottom just to save time. And I picked up this rod for maybe 5 minutes where we got in some pretty heavy cover and didn't get a bite on it, but that was the reason we had it. It was for that just in case moment if we get in some really heavy stuff and think that, and we saw some shad back there, so I picked up that spinnerbait for just a little bit. That's the only reason we had it.
Alright guys, this one here is actually one of mine. I had a black spinnerbait on, single Colorado. Why did I have that on and why did I feel like I needed it in the boat today is because just like Ethan was talking about thick willow bushes, I do have, I believe, 20-pound line on here, and this rod, I mean, it ain't a meat stick or anything, but what I was going to plan to do with it is we had another spot, if we would have got 5, that we felt we could get a good kicker fish. I was just going to throw this around the standing trees and stuff on the outer edges, and the reason why I had the 20-pound line is, like he was saying, if we had one, we needed to get him out. I didn't feel like I needed that heavier rod because I wasn't going to be throwing in the middle of them like Ethan was. I was going to be fishing the outside edge, and with that 20-pound line, if he would have went in it, I would have had enough line power to force him out of it. But that was on my Terra KVD rod. That's usually my topwater rod. I'll explain that later on another rod. And I had it with a 7.3 Tatula CT. Yeah, we got two
rods, mate.
Yeah, we got 2 rods trying to play the birds and the bees.
Okay. Is it in both of mine? Okay.
Yep.
So this is my jig rod. This is all I use it for, jig. You should always have a jig in the boat, in my opinion. It's one of the most versatile baits, not controlled by winter temperature, time of year. I think year round you get bit on a jig. It's just depending on the day to day for those. So this is one of my favorite baits to throw. Didn't get bit on it today. There were some people that actually caught some good fish on it today. We just weren't around the right stuff. But I always have a jig on. Alright, oh man. Well, this is my Lou's cranking stick. It's a David Fritz cranking stick. Terminate MB on it. I think it's a 5/6 to 1. All this is for is deep cranking, big square bills, stuff like that. Just heavy duty, big heavy crankbaits. That's about it. And we thought we might get around some big smallies in deeper water if we needed a kicker fish. Didn't have that opportunity today. That's the only reason I had this in the boat.
This here is a Jacob Wheeler 7'2" medium heavy. It's either medium heavy or heavy.
It's medium heavy.
Yeah, Ethan was right. It's bad he knows more about my stuff than I do. But that 7'2" Jacob Wheeler medium heavy cranking rod by Duckett, and I actually got another reel on here today. It was a Shimano Bantam Chronarch.
Just a beast.
It is a beast. I cast at this little 3XD, pretty good little waves, considering this rod is basically
It's not enough bait for that rod.
Considering this rod is for like a 5XD or up, and I'm not even sure a 5XD had loaded up. I feel like at least a 6, all the way up to a 10. This here is the rod. But the reason why I had this bait on here is because when I was at Cabela's in Lexington, basically as a guy, he told me he had 15 on it and 4 keepers. I believe it was 4. And each one was like 3-4 pound a piece, smallmouth. So, I mean, another thing, like he was talking about kicker fish, that's why I had this in the boat. Alright. Yep. Alright, so here's one of the little trade things we done. Y'all know me and him both have a Dixie rod. They're the same exact rod, same exact length, all that. And you had a big heavy spinnerbait on it. I had a half-ounce football jig on mine. Didn't even pick it up. Should I? Probably not. It just...
I was throwing that jig.
He was throwing a jig. I just wasn't in the mood really. I had my own little thing going on in my head. And what I actually had it paired up with was a KVD 150 HPT. And this was when he was at Quantum. And Ethan's had this reel about 3 or 4 years, still butter smooth. I cast it last week, didn't have a problem with it. So this here is going to be my new jig rod and reel. But why I had that in the boat, again, kicker fish. I mean, even if it was us a couple ounces, that would have still been a big help. But we had to get 5 in the boat before we could get a kicker fish, and we failed to do that. So, well, it looks like mine's mostly on top.
Mm-hmm.
You all know this rod and reel I hold dearest to my heart. I had a small swim bait on here. Thought I'd be able to throw it. I threw it some. I just got aggravated because I kept hanging it up on what we was doing. And I just broke it and never tied it back on because I was dead set on a Ned rig or a shaky head. So that's about how my day went. A Ned rig or a shaky head's about, and a Texas rig, that's about all I threw. So basically worms, that's all I threw. Pretty much, ain't it?
About all. Both were through.
Yeah.
Should we change? Probably.
I did throw it swim bait, didn't take a bite on it.
What you said earlier sounded like our day. Break off. That's all we did.
Yeah, we did break off a lot.
Broke off probably 20 baits.
Oh, easily. What we've done, you're going to break off a lot. This here is a new addition to my arsenal, this rod here. He got to use his, so he liked it. I'm really psyched to actually take this out and actually spend some time with this rod. The previous luge rods I've had didn't hold up that great, didn't feel that great. This in here, first time I cast it, I was like, wow. And it was with that KVD reel. And it is a luge light. It is the 6'8" medium light action. So what I'm going to use this rod for is like top waters like Ricos, spooks, jerk baits, especially for jerk baits. And I mean, later on in the spring, I may throw a spinnerbait on it. But I actually have another rod that was my cranking rod for a spinnerbait. I'm looking to get me another cranking rod between now and then because he got my cranking rod. So that's how it is. I did need a jerkbait rod though. Lord.
Keep going.
Alright, so this here was my Quantum Tour 7 foot medium heavy, and I had it paired with a Daiwa Tatula CT100HS. This is a new one, and I had a buzzbait on it with 20-pound line. The reason why I had a buzzbait on it is because this morning that fog I thought it was a bright idea. I mean, people said they caught them on top water, and I knew, and it was my fault. I should have threw us more. I seriously feel like I should have. And we should have fished that spot more up to them trees.
Yeah, probably.
And I'd have threw this in them. But I did feel like I needed this just this morning to try and get begging in the boat. So that's why I had that. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is my Falcon Bucku rod is a 7.3 heavy. I normally have a pretty big swim bait tied on this paddle tail. Today was a little bit different. I was throwing a massive shaky head on it. Big stout hook, 1/4 ounce weight, big worm. This was in the boat to try and catch a kicker fish. I had 2 to 3 baits that I thought might catch a kicker fish. This was one of them. This worm is probably double the size of a trick worm. What did you say?
Yeah, and girth and length.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive worm. Just, all I was trying to do was get a big bite. And I felt like that was one of the best ways to do it. I put it on this 7.3 heavy because I used it as a jig rod. Know that it's sensitive enough to get those bites, feel them. Know that it's got enough power to get them out of wherever they're in. And that's about the only reason I took it. Threw it probably 10 minutes whenever we kind of scrambling at the end.
Yep. This here's actually a new addition. I could not pass it up. I actually got me another Big Sexy, my favorite. This one here is actually a 7'4". Previously I had a 7 foot. And I started off with an A-rig on it. And I felt like an A-rig this time of year, they're going to be on it. The first spot we had, they should have hit it. It wasn't because I didn't throw it. I did throw it probably, 40 minutes all day.
You threw it quite a bit.
And then I broke it off. So I tied on this swim bait, and this was when we had that 30 minutes of fish. We was parafish, basically. Try to cover water and try to catch at least one more.
I was trying to keep the one we had alive.
Well, he's trying to keep the one we had alive. Well, alive, I was parafishing. I did have this big 3.3 electric chartreuse Kitech on here, and I had it paired with my herring head. Why? Because we was fishing a little bit muddy or stained water, I'd say, and that herring head has kind of a wobble to it, and it's just going to slow it down a whole lot. Because when that tail's wanting to make that wide kick, and that head's making that tight wobble, it's going to slow it down a whole lot, and what it's going to do, it's going to rock. It's going to come through and kind of rock side to side. So that's what I was trying to do, disturb that muddy water without like cranking or something like that. But it didn't work, obviously. And that's why I felt the need to have that in the boat, was mostly because of the A-rig.
Yeah.
Alright, Mr. Hayes. Thank you. Okay, we got that one. Good job. That's yours.
You can honestly probably tell more about this than I can. This is the rod that me and him traded for. He got that KVD reel and Team Light of mine, and I got this of his. So this was his cranking stick. I'm changing it up a little bit. this is probably not going to work for the majority of people. This is going to work for me. So this is a Team Light reel.
Yep.
And a Castaway Tyrannus rod. It's a 7-foot medium. And he was using it for spinnerbait and cranking mostly.
Spinnerbait, chatterbait, rock crawlers, stuff like that.
What I'm actually going to start using it for is a topwater and a jerkbait. Now, most people think that's way too long, 7 foot, be smacking the water. I'm 6'5", 6'6", somewhere in there. I need a longer rod. I feel like I'm playing with a Barbie rod if I'm holding those short rods. I can't stand them. I had that Team Light, never threw it, didn't work for me. I got used to working a spook and stuff like that on a 7-foot rod, so I just feel more comfortable with a little bit longer rod to work my jerkbaits and topwaters. That's why I got this rod, and I'll probably end up throwing crankbaits on it because he talked highly of that too.
I mean, if you ever want to get rid of it, I'll take it back.
I don't know if I will.
That's yours.
Okay. This is my pixie stick.
He got.
This is a 6'10" medium light spinning rod. Use it for Ned rigs. Almost exclusively Ned rig rod right now. I do throw a very finesse shaky head on it, an 1/8 ounce shaky head, but most of the time it's got a Ned rig on it. It's just got a lot. It's got a good tip to it, and in all honesty, for a medium light, enough backbone to get them moving if I absolutely have to. You don't want to try and force them with this rod, but if I was in a tough spot, I feel like it could. If it's not an absolute giant. That's about it.
Alright, so he actually had a Ned rig on, I had a Ned rig on. Why? That's just something you should always have on. Rough day, Ned rig usually stays a day. Didn't today. This is my Daiwa Arid X rod, and this here's actually a good budget rod. It's $59.
It's good.
And I love this rod. I will throw a floating worm on it. I will throw a weightless Texas rig. I will throw a Ned rig, mostly a Ned rig. I'd feel comfortable drop shopping with this rod also. I would stay away from the swim baits. Why? Because I have another rod for that. I mean, if you don't have another rod, then it's a good all-purpose rod. It is a 7-foot medium fast. Medium fast. It take 8 to 3/4. But this here I had a Ned rig on. I had it paired with a Stratic 2500. And why? I mean, we was fishing deeper water. That's why I have this bigger reel on this specific rod. Because that swim bait rod, I'm not going to be casting it down to 40 foot deep or 50. This here, I may be fishing 50, I may be fishing 60. You never know. You just got to kind of watch your line and watch that drop off. So when you see it start getting tight, it's falling. So let's open your bell, let it go down. But be careful of that, because if you see that line get tight, it could be a fish. But that's why I had this in the boat. I will always have this rod and reel in the boat, because I will most likely always have a Ned rig on this rod. Unless it's a spring, then I'll have floating worm on this rod if I'm fishing open water. Alright, and last but not least, the broke stick. You didn't know I broke it?
No idea.
Oh, I broke it. When I lost that fish and I hit the water real hard with it.
You broke it?
Oh, I busted that guide. And look, that I mean, you can tell it.
Yeah.
But the good news is I can rethread that and then put glue on it. It won't look good, but heck far, I've had this rod since I was 12 years old. Maybe younger than that, 9 to 12, I want to say. Give or take. but this rod's over 10 years old. Um, it's nothing fancy. It's not NRX or anything. It's simply a cheap Berkeley rod. This was the first expensive rod I had, and I think my dad, he did give it to me for my birthday. And this is a rod. Even if I break it right now, I'm just gonna put it in the corner. Because this rod, I've caught many and many and many a fish on this rod. But I actually had a weightless Texas rig on it, and I had it with 8-pound copolymer. This is a 7-foot medium heavy, and the reason why I had the 8-pound instead of 6 or 4, like y'all hear me talk about, and I had a weightless worm, is because we was fishing around the trees and stuff. So if I need to get fish out, heavier cover basically. I mean, I'm not gonna go in with 6 or 4 pound. He did throw a weightless Texas rig too back in the trees, and I did too. And you was rocking what? 8. So we just felt more comfortable with 8.
8 in the lockdown drag.
Yeah, I was 8 in a medium drag.
Good.
Y'all know how I keep my drag real loose.
Oh, it's
That
definitely
right there
you're
is
definitely
my-
playing a chance doing what he's done.
Oh, definitely.
You're gonna break some fish off if you do it long enough.
Yeah, but it's something no one does.
You get more bites where you got that light line.
Yep. But apparently it wasn't the case today.
No.
But I am going to get this rod fixed even if I do it myself. I was busted my insert out. Probably $20. I do have another rod I got to get fixed. We just need to take them to that guy. Because it's literally worse not using them than... but that's what we done. That is all the rods that we took.
That's it.
But it's just a grind out there, folks. Not gonna lie to y'all. I struggled with it mentally. I was just constantly thinking, where could I get bit? How could I get bit? What could I throw? What could I do? What kind of retrieve I could do? And at the end of the day, I was walking up the ramp to get the truck, and it hit me. I'm just like, it ain't no need in being down on myself, because it's number one, like we talked in the first video. After it's all said and done, it's nothing you can do about it. You may as well kiss your little money, kiss your little trophy, kiss your prize or whatever it is, and kiss that tournament goodbye.
Bragging rights out the window.
Bragging rights out the window. Cake's all dough, ball game's over. Because it ain't no rewind. It ain't no do-overs. It's suck it up and move on, be a man or be a woman about it, and being like, okay, well, I done everything I could do. I fished as hard as I could. I felt like I done everything right. Although I could have done this, I could have done that. Yeah, you could have done a lot of things. You could have went to another end of the lake. You could have ended up tying on a different color bait. You could have ended up tying on a different depth bait, or a different brand, or a different color, or a different size, or a different style. It just depends. And same way with water clarity. I mean, you could have fished clear, you could have fished dirty, you could have fished the middle oak. You could have changed your banks, red clay, chunk rock, docks, trees, bushes. It's a never-ending thing that what if, or I could have. It ain't no need in saying what if, or I could have done this, I could have done that, because it ain't no need. It's over.
If everybody could go back and fish their I could haves, everybody would win every tournament.
Yeah.
So that's just not how it works.
No, you're gonna win some, gonna lose some, and that's in anything. I mean, it would, and this is, I'm sure a lot of y'all would disagree, but it would be pretty boring if you went in to do something and you was already like, well, I'm gonna win, I'm the best. What would be a point in doing it? How would it? I mean, eventually
The whole
it's
point
going to
of
wear
this,
off.
the whole point of this is to prove that you're the best
Yeah,
to yourself and to others.
yeah,
And to prove that you're going to be the best, you're going to get humbled. Because you find out that you're not the best every day, and most days you're not. Occasionally you'll be the best that day, and that's a great feeling, but most days you're not going to. Most days you get beat.
yeah. And I mean, when I was sitting in that line, I was like, hey, I don't care. I fished my hardest. Ethan fished his hardest. It just wasn't there. What the pattern we had wasn't there. And I mean, yeah, we could sit here and tell you, oh, we could have done this, could have done that. It wouldn't do no good. That's why we're trying to talk to y'all and tell y'all that it ain't going to do no good. You're just going to get yourself away from tournament fishing. And that's where it's really fun. I find tournament fishing fun because it shows you where you rank. I mean, just like the tournament we fish today, it's people in it 60-year-old
I've
and
seen like 12-year-olds out there.
yeah, 12-year-olds. And I mean,
With their dad.
with their dad. I mean, that's just awesome. And them parents that's willing to take them, that's awesome. Big shout out to y'all. But you're going to have a big age difference. You're going to have that gap. You're going to have a knowledge difference, knowledge in the lake. And not just that, it's going to be not Lady Luck on your side, but it's going to be God's blessing on your side as well. I mean, God does everything for a reason. So, I mean, why are you going to be mad if that's how it was meant to be? And if it wasn't meant to be that way, then God wouldn't allow it. We said the prayer today, and I mean, it was awesome. But I mean, you're going to have to know a little bit. God's going to have to be on your side. Now, it's not saying if you don't catch fish, God ain't on your side. It's just meant to be that way. It's meant to humble you. It's meant to strengthen you. And that's about it. You got anything else to add, Ethan?
No. Not really.
But, I mean, it's tournament fishing. I would love for y'all to try it. Not to get your money taken, although it does turn out that way sometimes. Me and him got our money taken pretty bad. Didn't stand a chance. It was laughable.
No.
But
I was talking about throwing the fish out before we even weighed in because we knew
yeah,
it was bad.
I was up there on top of the hill by the weigh-in, and when I was bringing in 9 pounds and getting into the lead, I was like, yeah, we ain't got enough. And
I watched people throw their fish out right in front of me. I didn't tell you that. While I was sitting out there, there's people digging in their live well throwing their one fish out because they. Listen, there was about 10 people today that had a great day, and then there was about 90 people that had a crappy day. That's just how fall time fishing is. Some days you're gonna be killing them. If you get in the right spot in the fall, you're gonna have one of the best days you've ever had on the lake.
hands down.
And then you're gonna have a lot of crappy days in the fall. You can get better by continuing to do it. People like me and him haven't done too terribly much fall fishing. I don't know how much he's done. I've not done much of it at all. But that's just how it works in the fall. You're going to have great days, you're going to have crappy days. Rarely, I've never had an in the middle day in the fall where I feel like I did decent, but not great, not bad. I've either not caught anything or smoked them.
And you're not going to have an in-between day in a tournament usually. Either you're going to suck it up pretty bad like we did, or you're going to kill them. But if you kill them, I don't want y'all to get that in your head that, wow, wow, we got 20 pounds. We can go and do this.
No, you should enjoy a day like that
Yeah.
tournament fishing because you're not gonna get many of them.
No, it's hard to get 20 pounds. If you do 20 pounds,
I've never done it.
that's not in the spring or the summer, then you need to hit me up because you're a stud right there.
I've never caught 20 pounds in a tournament.
I ain't caught 20 in a tournament.
Yeah.
Now, man, Gage should have fished that tournament.
Yeah.
Because he only took 12 and we had what it took and 2 fish. Yeah. But nonetheless, thank y'all for watching us. Ethan, you have anything else?
Nope. Other than be nice people. God loves you.
Alright, thank y'all for watching this. Be sure to check out Kurt Singer Sunrise Outfitters, Dog Patch Trading Post, Saddlebrook Outdoors, and the Tackle Spot. And as always, give God all the glory. Be safe, have fun, do something nice for somebody, please, and have a good day. I'm out. Boom!